Disclaimer: this video is very dark and highlights some disturbing topics, including violence and drugs. Viewer discretion is advised. Hey everyone, hope you're all doing well. You all seem to really enjoy the story time format of the original Burger King foot lettuce video, so I figured I would start a series where I tell some stories and experiences I've had in my 10 years of working in food service. I've seen a lot of crazy stuff, guys, and to be honest, most of it isn't good. Most of my stories are not good or funny. Just for example, I've seen delivery drivers get their cars stolen, get robbed, get shot. I've seen employees and customers die. I've seen multiple people overdose. I've had guns in my face. You name it, I've seen it. I worked in some pretty rough areas, so, I've seen a lot of stuff. But out of all those things that I have experienced, there's two stories in particular that really stick out to me. And I think it's because of how disturbing it is, how selfishness can manifest in people regardless of the scenario. And you'll see what I mean when I get into it, but I'll try my best to look into the camera. I really want to look at myself on the phone, but I'll get used to it. Excuse me. All right, so this first story, it was 2021. We were in COVID, lockdown, except for essential workers, and everyone was wearing masks. The store was still open, though, to the public. Like, people could come and go, grab their orders and whatnot. So it was a little new to everyone, but the mask thing we were still getting used to. And in the past, we weren't serving people who would cover their face with, like, shiesties or wear hoods just for security purposes. It sounds ridiculous, but when you work in those areas, you would understand. Yeah, just little things like that. You got to really use your discernment when serving people in those areas. But yeah, so it was COVID time, and I was working one day, and I was the manager on shift. It was my shift. I was in charge. And one of my employees was a pregnant 16-year-old girl, and she still wanted to work, and we don't want to work her hard, so we put her at the register and gave her a little seat to sit on. And she would just cash people out. And this guy came in, and he had an N95 mask on, and I see him pull a gun on her in her face and start screaming, "Give me the money, give me the money." And she freezes up. She doesn't know what to do. She doesn't want to move. She keeps telling him, like, "I don't want to move. I don't want to move. Please." It's really, yeah, it's hard to talk about this, but I saw it, and I went over there and kind of got the attention on me and kind of got her out of there for the most part. And, he's like, "Give me the money or I'll blow your effing brains out, blah, blah, blah." So I gave him the money in the register, and it's like $100. We make money drops. If you work in food industry, once your register's over a certain amount, you drop money in the safe, right? And we also dropped large bills, so anything over $10 we would drop in the safe. So I gave him the money, and he's like, "Where's the rest?" And I told him it's in the safe, and he's like, "Open it." And I'm like, "It's time locked," which, if you don't know, means you have to put the passcode in, and it takes about 10 to 15 minutes to actually open, depending on how you have it set. And so I told him, it's time locked, which actually wasn't entirely true, because we had an inner safe. We had the time lock safe deeper in the safe, which was where all the money was. And then we have an immediate safe that you open, and there's still money in there from, like, all the big bills from the sales that day. But I lied, and I just said, which looking back, I shouldn't have, but I didn't think he would, whatever. Mistakes happen. So I told him, it's time locked, and he goes, "Shit." And then he runs out of the store and leaves. So I tell one of my employees, "Call the police." I have someone lock the doors, and I call my manager, and I have someone by the doors waiting for delivery drivers that are still out on the road to watch out for them. So when they get in, we can lock the doors and get them in there safe. And my manager, when I'm talking to him, he says, "Just close the store down, everyone go home." So that's what we did. And yeah, it was really scary. About an hour later, the police came, and I told, my story, and I um, filed a, what do you call it? Not a claim. You know what I mean? A report. I filed a police report. And a few days go by, and I get a phone call, and it turns out he was arrested. They found him, and I'm like, okay, good. We probably won't see him again. And fast forward, there might be more in here, but fast forward a couple months, I finally get a letter in the mail saying, like, hey, you can come into court if you want and testify against this guy. And so I'm like, okay, well, I look up his name. His name was Daniel Ginley. And I look up his name, his court docket, and he's got a bunch of robberies, bunch of fraud. And so he wasn't like a good guy at all. So I was thinking, he's probably going to go away for a few years. So I testify because I want him locked up. Like, he threatened to kill me, obviously, and he threatened to kill my coworker who was pregnant. So, I kind of have a resentment there. So I go and testify, I tell my story, and I'm talking to the judge. And I remember she was like, why did you get in between him and the girl? And I was like, what do you mean? She's 16, she's pregnant, and I'm in charge. I'm responsible for these people. And I guess I never really thought about it, but I guess, I don't know. But talking to her and reliving that story was really hard for me at the time. And I think I got really emotional. And it was not because, like, the gun was in my face, but just the fact that that her life was at risk. It was on my watch. I know it wasn't my fault, but, a pregnant 16-year-old, that's, you know what I mean? So, sorry. Yeah, so I testify, and then a long time goes by. I forget about it for the most part. I mean, I still bring it up to my coworkers, but I don't hear anything for like over a year. And then eventually I get a letter in the mail saying, hey, he was found guilty. He just had trial, and he's been sentenced, which he was sitting there for over a year before actually getting a sentence. So that's good. But that's just crazy. Like, the whole thing was crazy. But yeah, he got sentenced. I don't know how long he was in jail. I never looked it up. I don't really care. I just assume he's gone for a while. But what really bothers me about that story is that guy was threatening to kill a pregnant minor over $100. That's crazy. Yeah, and then my other story is we saw a lot of overdoses. It's so many, in fact, that I don't know how it is in other states, but in Ohio, you can just get free Narcan. Like, you can just get as much as you want. And I stocked up on it, and I would keep it in the store all the time because we would have to use it a lot, like once a week almost. But this one in particular, this kid walks in, he's like 19, and he leans up against the glass in the lobby, and he starts like doing this, and I'm just thinking, oh boy. And then he falls on the ground. We're real busy. There's like 20 people in the lobby. And he falls on the ground, and he's right in front of the register at this point. Because, like, the way our lobby was shaped, there was like a very narrow area between the door, and then there was a wall right next to it, and then the register. It was very narrow, but then on the sides, there was a lot of room for people to wait and watch us make food and stuff. But he was just laying right in the middle there. And he started turning, bluish gray. And I'm like, everyone stop what you're doing. I go help him because no one's helping him. It's just like, oh, this happens all the time. So I go help him. I give him Narcan. I give him CPR. And I'll never forget this. I'm in the middle of giving this kid CPR. He's pretty much dead. He's not breathing. He's blue in the face. It's been like 3 minutes. and this guy steps over his legs, I swear. And while he's standing over his legs, he like reaches over and he's like, "Hey, I had a large pizza with some," and that's all I remember. I don't know what kind of pizza he fucking got, but I was like, "Are you gotta be fucking kidding me? What's wrong with you?" Like the disrespect. You not only you're standing over a dead body, but how do you even think about pizza when that's all you think about is your pizza? Like, oh, what an inconvenience. There's a dead guy here. Like, what's wrong with people, man? That really stuck with me really bad. But anyways, the ambulance came real quick because one of my coworkers called 911. And he woke up like as soon as the ambulance got there. Thank God. And he looked at me and he was like panicking. He was like, "Did something bad happen?" And I was like, "Yeah, dude, you just died." And I don't think he processed it yet, but you know, they took him away. I'm assuming he lived. Thank God. But I just, those particular two stories really baffle me because, I mean, I don't even need to explain it. People can be so selfish. Even when there's dead people laying in front of you, you're worried about a pizza. You're willing to kill a pregnant minor over $100. It's really sad. Anyways, I got plenty of more stories for you guys. Sorry this one was a little darker video. Thank you for everyone who watched, and thank you to all my subscribers. I love and appreciate all of you. If you're not subscribed, please consider doing so. And I'll see you guys on the next video. Foot lettuce guy out.